Hi, Lawrence. This is Christina from The Upcoming. So lovely to speak with you today. Would you like to tell us what One of Them Days is about and what people can expect going in?
One of them days is about two friends who have to make rent by 6 p.m. After one of the friends' boyfriends steals their money. So they go on a bunch of hijinks and crazy adventures to hopefully get their rent back.
So, One of Them Days is your feature debut. Congratulations on that.
Thank
How
you.
did you know this was the right story for your first film?
I like to say my mom is Drew and Alyssa combined. So I grew up in a similar neighborhood and situation as them, but in Detroit, Michigan, and where community was a big part of it. And we oftentimes had to use humor to soften the blow of reality. So I instantly found my way in that way. And also just the times that the world has been going through, especially my country has been going through. I feel like we need to step away from reality a bit and get a little escapism and have some fun, you know. So also the film is original, which was a really, really big selling point for me as well.
This one was very original and fresh. And um, so it was inspired partially by Friday. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of inspirations from Friday and other films as well. Super Bad. I like to compare it to even like films like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Where you got these characters racing the clock for something. But Friday is so iconic, and to me, one of the greatest films ever. Just what it has done culturally, and something about sitting with two friends during one day as they go through craziness that I think is so fun. We pay homage in a lot of ways to one way particularly is Kiki Palmer's character wears a flannel for like her one of her earlier outfits, and Ice Cube's character Craig also wore a similar plaid flannel as well. So much love to Friday. The music, the cinematography, just the authenticity was something that we really wanted to hone in on and make sure it felt cultural, just like that film.
So the movie takes place in South Central LA. What went into capturing this very iconic neighborhood and working with Ava Botsky as a cinematographer?
Yeah, it was awesome. We wanted this to be like as grounded as possible while still feeling elevated. We both have worked on projects in the LA area and filmed here. But it was important for us to not make this look and feel like your typical high lit comedy that doesn't offer any style. Sometimes you have stories that are set in the hood and you think, oh, it has to be ugly and gloomy and dirty, where we did the opposite. They lived in the jungles in Baldwin Village area, and we wanted to highlight all the greeneries, the colors, and make sure everything popped while they were struggling, but there was still beauty in everything around them. So being authentic, making sure it was grounded and elevated was at the top of our list.
And what was the biggest challenge you faced while making this film?
I mean, filmmaking it's never going to go smooth, no matter what. You can have all the money, you can have all the time, and I think it's always going to be some bumps in the road. But I would say the biggest challenge for this one was our timeline. We shot this movie in 20 days, which is kind of crazy, and we did it all mostly on location, outside of a couple builds we did for the interior apartments. But I would say timing was the most challenging because I want to make my days while also still serving, giving my actors justice and making sure we having fun and leaning into all the natural moments that come from filming. But I would say time would be the biggest challenge, but we overcame and caught lightning in a bottle.
Speaking of your actors, when you were casting the roles of Drew and Alyssa, what specific qualities were you looking for the actors, and what made Kiki Palmer and SZA the right fit?
I think one, it was like just chemistry. So like we really wanted to make sure that sisterhood felt real and authentic, and that these were best friends for sure. And I think that Kiki and SZA both their personal characteristics are very similar to Drew and Alyssa, so that helped a lot. Like Kiki, she has a big boss persona. She's always working. She's always on it in real life, and that's what Drew aspires to be. She wants to uh, elevate. She wants to run her own franchise. And with SZA, Alyssa is kind of dreamy and woo woo, a little overly spiritual. When I first met SZA, I'm just like, oh my goodness, you're literally like Alyssa. And she told me as well, like this is like me and my best friend. So once I like rehearsed them for the first time, it was like clear as day that they were made for these roles and that they were able to bring in their personal attributes to make these characters feel alive, like themselves, and authentic.
On the topic of sisterhood, the sense of community between the characters in the film is amazing. Can you talk a bit about how you address gentrification in conjunction with community in your film?
Yes, definitely. Early on when I first read the script, that was a huge, huge way for me. And, we look at in this country, a lot of these cities, we lose beautiful artifacts for strip malls or for, parks, and I didn't want to like hate on gentrification because I do see the benefits on it in some places as well, and in some things. But it was important for a community to really be at the forefront because outside of gentrification, we wanted to be known that people that have been in these areas for so long stick together, no matter what, through thick or thin. So didn't want to hate on gentrification. It's natural, it happens, but also wanted to make sure our community felt strong and supported our girls as they couldn't make their rent. And as they, sold their art to try to make their rent.
And your film has already seen huge successes in the box office. So, what do you hope audiences take away from this film, and what kind of conversations and questions you hope it inspires?
My main thing is I want people to walk away hopeful and inspired. You just watch these characters go through so much stuff. I want you to know that even when your back's against the wall, it's not over, and no dream is too big if you really believe in yourself and have perseverance. So, hope is my number one goal, and inspiration is another one.